friends, relatives, strangers, and enemies. If you're looking for the California Liberal channel, then you're off the mark. You've clicked on the wrong place. If you're looking for the New York Progressive channel, again, you're off the mark. You've clicked on the wrong place. No, sir, it's none of those. This is the Texas Conservative channel. That's right. The Texas Conservative channel, www.youtube.com/JBBJustForTexas, where I make it my own personal business to talk about the flaws and the failures and the screw-ups of the Democrat Party. And I do so on a consistent basis. As well, I talk about the flaws and the failures of the enemies that are facing these United States of America. And I talk about the politics surrounding the business of dealing with these people. Now, there are many topics that I talk about on the Texas Conservative channel, but I always want to hit on what I call the 5 red state fundamentals. They're really 5 wholly American fundamentals, but they are the fundamentals unto which America depends upon survival. And I'm going to go into detail on these subjects. National missile defense, national security, taxes, energy, and the Second Amendment. As well, there's another subject that I'm going to talk about, and that's health care. Health care with an asterisk, because the subject of health care and its importance to America's survival has recently surfaced on the scene. And so it'll be discussed, one of the topics here on the Texas Conservative channel this evening. As well, I'm going to talk about Libya and Syria. I'm going to talk about the President's Libyan policy. I'm going to talk about the events that are taking place in Syria, as well as all the other events in the Islamic world. Now, I've talked about before on many of my other subjects, many of my other videos about national missile defense and its importance to America. Now, the liberals out there believe that national missile defense is not necessary. They don't want to see the money spent on national missile defense. The liberals, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and their supporters in the Democrat Party would much rather see that money spent on welfare package. They would rather have that money spent on somebody that hadn't earned it so that they can buy their vote. They feel that that's more important to the nation's security than national missile defense. And liberals would argue that since missile defense is not 100% effective, I mean, there are some things about it that need to be worked out. It's not a system without flaws. They feel that it's not necessary to spend those hundreds of millions of dollars on missile defense for America or anywhere else. Since it doesn't work perfect, then there's no reason to have it. But here's the flaw in their reasoning. Let's say we give them that national missile defense is not perfect. And let's say that Iran launches 10 missiles at our troops in the Middle East, or let's say at America, if they gain the missile technology that can reach here. Let's say they launch 10 missiles at the United States. And in both scenarios, we have the Democrat Party plan and the Republican plan to deal with it. The Democrat Party plan, the one we're currently under, calls for no missile defense because the system, they say, is not 100% effective. Under the Bush plan, when Bush was president, we had a missile defense. No, it wasn't perfect, but one was being developed and improving as the days went by. It was becoming ever more robust until Barack Obama was elected and cut off funding for it and ended missile defense. Now, they say if 10 missiles come at the United States and the Republican plan is in place, well, let's say we only knock down 7 of those missiles. 3 missiles get through. Well, that's 3 of our cities that got destroyed. And the Democrats would argue that it wouldn't have been effective. But really, it would be effective if it knocked down 7 of 10, if it knocked down 60 or 70% of incoming nuclear missiles, it would be effective. That's 3 cities that would be destroyed under the Republican plan to defend America. Now let's take the Democrat Party plan. First of all, since missile defense isn't 100% effective, they would never spend money on it and deploy it in the first place. They would disassemble the system like they're doing now. So if Iran or North Korea or whatever, Gaddafi or somebody like that, ever gains control of missiles and launches them at the United States or our forces in the region, and with no missile defense, if they launched 10 missiles, how many missiles would get through with no missile defense? Well, we wouldn't knock down 7, we wouldn't knock down 6, we wouldn't knock down jack shit. All 10 missiles would get through, blowing up 10 American cities or 10 bases. So the entire liberal pacifist philosophy toward missile defense and its effectiveness is totally flawed. And as one of those fundamentals, I have to point it out. It is a vital fundamental in this day and age, friends, relatives, strangers, and enemies, for national missile defense and theater missile defense to be in place. This cowardly president is turning a blind eye to it, and it's going to cost us dearly in the long run. So what does the United States need? Well, even if we have to get another president in there, we need a robust national missile defense and theater missile defense system to be able to wage and engage North Korea and Iran in the coming possible nuclear war that we're going to have with them, because they're hell bent on it, and this president is hell bent on not realizing it. So again, national missile defense. It's vital to America's survival in this day and age. Now, the next issue is national security. National missile defense, the first subject, is obviously an intricate part of the second subject, which is national security. The United States has a government, and it's got a commander-in-chief. You cannot have 500 commander-in-chiefs. The government must govern the people in Congress. The President of the United States' number one function, 90% of that job function, is Commander-in-Chief, leader of the military, protecting the American people. So the President is deeply engaged right now in things that do not involve national security. The most important part of his job, national security, that into which he's blundering right now, he is neglecting. It is put on the back burner, so to speak. It is put on the back burner behind his economic view, his socialist view, his view that shared economics is neighborly, his anti-capitalist policies. And that's the forefront. He consumes his economic advisors, the people that decide his welfare policy, his economic policy, and his tax policy, consume his time. He needs to spend more time in the war room and less time in the food stamp room, less time in the college credit room. And until he does this, he's vintage Democrat. And what do vintage Democrats do? They neglect national security. They don't know how to use American military power. They entangle us with the decisions of other nations. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing to hell and back what Barack Obama is doing to this nation. And he's neglecting his most important job function. On top of that, he's screwing it up. Everything Barack Obama touches turns to shit. National security, economic policy, healthcare policy, whatever President Barack Obama touches turns to shit. and it can't be argued. And of course, on the Texas Conservative Channel, I'm going to point this out. It's my duty. It's my obligation to do so. I don't owe my fellow man anything other than this knowledge. I've got to pass out this dreadful knowledge of the damage that's being done to America by this Democrat Party, the failures. The failures in the 5 red state fundamentals. I've discussed national missile defense. I've discussed national security policy. And of course, tax policy. When the federal tax system right now really is illegal. There used to not be an income tax. There used to be just sales tax. The income tax was adopted for the purpose of building up the military. And it wasn't supposed to be used for anything other than paying the military, building missiles, building tanks, building all the means by which America could wage war. And after the wars that we wage to protect our freedom were through, then the income tax was supposed to end. But because liberal Democrats came into power, but because progressives got a foothold in our society, they found that you could intricately make false promises and use that money, and instead of just short-term income taxes, you could make it, you could gain power and make it a long-term tax on the American people, thereby which using that money to do all sorts of evil, dastardly acts. Print money and hand it out to people for nothing. Print money for people who don't want to work. Hand out checks to people that don't want to work. And do it on the backs of the hard worker, the entrepreneur, the investor. Do it on those people's backs. And they could achieve what they wanted to achieve, which is a poor society. That's what the Democrats want. Tax policy. If the Democrats could gain power over 100 years, they know that they could affect the tax policy in such a way that it might take 500 years for America to get out of it. And they know that it's part of staying in power. The Democrats know that the poor people and the middle class make up the larger population in America. And they know that they can gain votes from those people. The Democrat Party knows they can gain votes from those masses if they keep them poor, if they can demonize success. If the Democrat Party can demonize people's success enough, create enough envy, and create a big enough pool of hurting people, then the Democrats know that they can stay in power. They're not about helping poor people. They're about keeping them poor so they can keep using that mantra. They can keep using that mascot. We are for poor people, when they know they're for shit. And in the computer, if Facebook is starting up an anti-radical Islamic revolution on that side of the world, and Barack Obama's having some of that same problem here. Something similar, because here on the Texas Conservative Channel and other conservative websites where there is no internet censorship like he wishes there was, we are going to talk about the flaws and the failures of the Democrat Party and the 5 fundamentals that are important to this nation. And there is going to be no stone left unturned. There's going to be no bullshit left unchallenged. Not in this day and age. Not on YouTube, not a chance in hell, and not on this channel. Taxes, people. Taxes. How taxes are done affects America for years to come. And the Democrats are devious, and they know this. And they want you to fall for their bait, and don't do it. And the way to keep from doing it is clicking over to www.youtube.com/JBB where I'm trying to lend my hand to you. I'm trying to help you folks. All you got to do is just listen. And get beyond your silliness and get beyond your Democrat Party pessimist karma and click on over to my channel and give it a listen. You'll feel better about yourself and you'll feel better about others. Because that's where we talk about the Democrat Party. Of course, another important fundamental to America's survival is the Second Amendment. You can talk about all the other damned amendments, and none is more important than the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment backs up the First. The First allows me to sit here and do what I'm doing now. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it except get pissed off. If I was in Iran, they could come shake me down. If I was in Libya, Gaddafi would be after me. If I was in North Korea, Kim Jong-il would try and be after me. But no, I'm in the United States of America where Barack Obama just wishes he could come after me because of what I'm doing, the First Amendment. And if they ever did think about stopping the First Amendment, the Democrat Party has the Second Amendment to deal with. No wonder they want to take everybody's guns up, so they can implement all of their socialist bullshit without fear of repercussions and violence. They know that if they try that crap like what's going on over there, the Democrats know. The Democrats know that we would be violent in a heartbeat. I would break my SKS it would come out of the gun cabinet, folks, and I'd load up my 30-round clips. There's no way. The Second Amendment is the trump card that backs up the First Amendment. I'm exercising my First Amendment, and I will exercise my Second Amendment without discrimination. There's no question about it. Guns are important to a free society. Guns in America. Everybody should have a gun. Everybody that loves freedom and love America, go get you a 45. Get you an MR-14. Get you an SKS assault rifle like I got. Gun up, people, because that's part of being an American. If I lived in New York, I wouldn't be getting jacked. If I lived in LA, I wouldn't be getting jacked. People would be getting gunned down in front of my front yard, but I wouldn't be getting jacked. If somebody come up to my car, they'd be getting gunned down in the streets. It's the way you deal with violence. It's the way you deal with carjackers. You know, Texas, the Castle Doctrine law, we know what we're doing here, folks. And we know how to protect citizens. And the Second Amendment, which is a vital part of protecting those citizens, and it's a vital fundamental. The Second Amendment rights are a vital fundamental to the survival of America. And I'm going to talk about it here on the Texas Conservative channel. Another important fundamental is energy. Now, there's no question, folks, that energy policy here in the United States currently is absolutely flawed. And the president puts his foot in his mouth. The president wants more resources, but he regulates the ability to do so. And the president talks about untapped wells that America could use for more oil and more gas. But the president won't lift the regulations. I have friends that work in the oil field business, and from time to time they get laid off. Not because there is no business, but because the oil companies can only pump so much out of the ground. The EPA, the Barack Obama-led EPA, has so much regulations on oil and gas businesses that they just cannot produce enough to meet demand. Again, it's part of the Democrat Party's ways and means of creating more poor people. Tax them here, tax them there, tax their fuel and gas to where they can't get around, to where they can't get to those jobs. That in turn creates more and more unemployment, which creates more and more need for welfare, which creates more and more apathy, which creates more and more government dependence. It is a dastardly, Democrat Party domino effect. In some way, somehow, somewhere, somebody has got to put a damn stop to it, or this country's going to go down. And I'm going to do everything I can, folks. I'm laying it on the line here on the Texas Conservative channel for you people, for you YouTubers, for you fellow Americans, for you fellow citizens. Don't let it slip by. If we're fortunate enough to make it to another presidential election, remember these things. You know, national missile defense, vital to America's survival in this day and age. National security. What president wouldn't put national security first? Excuse me, I bet I asked that question. We all know what president's not putting national security first. 3, taxes. Golly, the tax policy. The Democrat Party tax policy is flawed to hell and back. And of course, Second Amendment rights, they're doing everything they can to curb gun owners' rights. Gun prices are rising because of their policies. Bullets and ammo are 5 and 6 times what they used to be. The taxes on them. People are worried. Pawn shop owners, people that I know, are worried about this damn administration. And they've got good reason to be. Now, health care with an asterisk. It has become an important fundamental to America's survival. Not actually having health care, but the way we approach it. Again, the health care bill is part of the Democrat Party's ways and means. It's part of Barack Obama's ways and means. I'm going to keep hammering on it, to create more poor people. They damn well know that if a person that goes down to the emergency room can't pay for it right then out of their money, that they're going to have to charge it and come back and pay it later if they can. The Democrats know that if that person can't go down to the emergency room and pay it right then, they know that that person's damn well sure not going to be able to afford a monthly premium at some insurance company. No, but that person is going to be forced into a quandrum. Is not going to be able to get out of that bind. That poor person that is forced to go buy health insurance even when they're not sick, and they won't be able to afford it. They won't be able to afford the monthly premium. Thus, they'll be forced on the Medicaid rolls. The people that can't afford it are forced on the Medicaid rolls, and of course Barack Obama wants more and more and more and more and more and more and more people on Medicaid, so he can expand his bureaucracy, expand his government from hell. Folks, it has to be said once again, either by presidents or website owners or YouTube channel operators, that once again the government has grown well beyond the consent of the government. This cannot be denied, people. And the people that don't go buy health insurance will be fined. And you can be jailed for that. If you don't go purchase health insurance, you're either going to be so poor you're forced on the Medicaid rolls, or you're going to be forced in the middle where you have to go out and purchase it even when you're not sick. And the workers and the businesses that are forced to match, the businesses are going to be forced to provide health insurance. Well, that's 2 or 3 extra workers they're not going to hire. And if you tell all the insurance companies, like Barack Obama's done, that they're going to have to cover everybody with pre-existing conditions, well, what do you think? That's just going to cause a big boom in health care and cause a big boom in people's health? You think it's going to cause them to get better? No. They're going to have to look further and further for the health insurance. You want to know why? You want to know why, Democrats? You want to know why, liberals? I'll tell you why here on the Texas Conservative Channel. Because though you may be able to force a health insurance company to cover some, you may force them to cover somebody with a pre-existing condition, but you damn sure can't force them to stay in business. You can't tell health insurance companies they got to keep being health insurance companies. No, they can go out of business. If part of their profit was making money off of people who are sick and not having to cover people with pre-existing conditions, that profit is gone once they start covering them. If they cover everybody out there with a major illness, there will be no profit margin for the insurance companies. They will go out of business, and you can't make them stay in business. So, all the people running around, even in the middle class, once that happens, they're going to be trying to find them some health insurance, but there won't be any companies around, and the companies will raise their premiums, so you'll be paying to hell and back, or you'll be forced on the Medicaid roll, while Barack Obama is sitting up in the White House laughing his ass off. embracing his power and wanting more of it. Folks, it's up to you. I'm doing all that I can to help you. I can't sit here all alone. I need listeners. I need understanders. I need people that want to be proactive and care about their surroundings, and people that care about what's going on in the government. And to hear more about it, again, don't go off to the California Liberal channel. You know, don't sneak off to the New York Progressive channel. No, folks, come to www.youtube.com/JVB Jasper, Texas. Where it's the Texas Conservative channel. And I talk about the flaws and the failures of the Democrat Party, as well as the current events of this day and age and in our time. And hear more about it. We'll see you on the next episode.